What is up, everybody? My name is Jack Quinn, and today is going to be a live stream, a live Q&A for you guys. And I'll also be talking about how I feel about the whole George Floyd situation and how I personally feel about the certain topic of police brutality against Black lives and all that. I am also live on Instagram, so be sure to check that out. But as it stands, a live Q&A and George Floyd talk. I'm on Instagram and on YouTube, so please feel free to leave comments on anything, as I will be answering your guys' questions as well as discussing how I personally feel about the George Floyd incident, as I'm very vocal about these certain topics. And so, it kind of bothers me how people usually sit behind these things and don't really talk about most of these things. And it also pisses me off a lot when people misuse information to spike controversy and just try and get people to say, like, oh, he did something wrong, when really he didn't, and trying to get people to say that he deserved the outcome when he really didn't deserve it. George Floyd was allegedly accused of using a counterfeit $10 bill. Yeah, it's a little bit weird and a little bad, but I don't think it deserved the attention of the police, and it definitely did not deserve him to get killed for it. Fucking echo here. But at the same time, that's the world that we live in, unfortunately. And it sucks, obviously. If it wasn't an issue, I wouldn't be sitting here talking about it. Simple as that. But, unfortunately it is, and it's a big enough deal that it has to get talked. I hate going onto the news and seeing black person shot when he was compelling with the police. I just hate seeing anyone getting killed in general. I don't like to go in and see that. I personally feel that no matter if they were innocent or if they weren't, no matter what their crime was, unless they actually, thank you, Charlie, unless they actually did kill someone and go on a mass murder, then yes, go ahead, kill them. But if they're minding their own business, like if they get caught speeding and they get shot, like that's the one thing that frustrates me the most. As my shirt says, it makes me say, what the fuck? It fully pisses me off seeing someone like that. And with the whole situation with George Floyd, he got the police called on him because he used a counterfeit bill. $10 bill. Counterfeit. Okay, so what? But for the police officer to go in and fucking kneel on his fucking neck, that is uncalled for. And when George Floyd was legit screaming, saying that he couldn't breathe, that he thought he was going to die, doesn't that kind of, if you're the police officer, wouldn't that just spike something in your mind saying, oh shit, I should probably lay off? He's already fucking handcuffed on the ground. He ain't going to be going anywhere. First of all, I didn't see the need for the police to get called for using a counterfeit $10 bill. That's just how I feel about it. That's how I feel about the whole situation. The police shouldn't have been called because he used a counterfeit bill. But unfortunately, they were, and I guarantee you it was a white store clerk that called the police on him, and it frustrates me so much. And the topic of police brutality and Black Lives Matter, I'm fully for it. All lives matter. We're all human. We're all matter in a way. But when the majority of the victims of police brutality are innocent Black males and females, it ticks me off so bad. It's like that movie that was released a couple years ago called The Hate You Give. It was a perfect and prime example of what America is. It's just what it is. And if you would rather sit by and be silent about these things, you're part of the fucking problem. You're part of the reason why we have so much hate. Like, if you sit silent in situations like what happened to George Floyd, an innocent person getting killed for no reason, if you would rather sit and be silent about that, then you're part of the fucking problem, and you're part of the racism in the community. But if you're like me and voice your opinion against what has happened and say, like, this dude didn't deserve it. None of these people that get killed for something that shouldn't have been a big deal. It's unnecessary. There's another prime example of an innocent Black man getting killed by police, getting choked to death by police. He was allegedly selling cigarettes without a license, which, okay, no big deal. And he was complying with police and surrendering to police. Yet the police still put him in a chokehold and still strangled him and choked him to death. Why? Why was that necessary? He was surrendering to you guys and was, just trying to be like good so he could get back home. But no, you had to go and kill him because, he's a Black guy selling cigarettes without a license. Another prime example that I saw a while back. A Black man was minding his own business, drove up to a Burger King or Carl's Jr. and went and ordered his food to go and was walking out to his car. But some ignorant white fuck called the police because he saw his gun in his belt. Most people carry their guns in their belt. I know quite a few white people that have their gun in their belt. But because he was a Black man, he had the police get called on him. And he's sitting outside his car with his food in hand. And the police tell him, take out your weapon and set it on the ground. He went to reach for it to put it on the ground and was complying. And they told him, put your hands up. So he put his hands up. Then they yelled at him again. Put your weapon down on the ground slowly. Went to do the exact same thing. Got yelled at again. He had his gun in his hand with his hands up. His gun was already out. And when the police told him to put it back down, he was slowly putting it down and they shot him. An innocent Black man complying with the police gets shot for complying. You told him to put his weapon down. But as he was putting his weapon down, you told him, put your hands up. Then you told him to put his weapon down again, and you shoot him. If we look back to the movie The Hate You Give, I believe it was released back in 2017. Or no, I think it was last year. I think it was released last year. If you go back to that movie, where the girl asks her uncle, who is a Black police officer, what he would do in a situation like that. He said, if it was a Black man, we shoot first, ask questions later. But if it was a white man, they don't do anything. They just arrest him calmly without protest. It is. It exactly is turning into that, Foster. Just so you know, I'm live on YouTube and on Instagram. So if you see me looking this way on the YouTube live stream, I'm obviously looking at comments from Instagram. And if you see me looking here, I'm obviously looking onto the YouTube live stream. That is quite possible. From the user Purple Pancake on Instagram, who I know personally as a good friend of mine, he basically said that, you know, it's turning into a police state. And he also apparently uncovered that the police in Minnesota or Maryland, wherever it took place in, have started all the fires to raise false flags. That is what we live in. The news and the media want to falsify information and try and get the public to say, you know, we're not the problem here. You know, they're trying to make it seem like everyone's the bad guy and the police was in the right situation when they weren't. That's the thing that I hate about the fucking media. They try and blame things on everyone else rather than what actually happened. It's fake news, basically. And that's the one thing that I will agree with Trump's statement is fake news. And that's quite possibly what has happened. And it's not just the Black community that has been facing the racism due to the whole COVID-19 outbreak. It is obviously, when you think of racism, you think of white people, especially white people, being rude and obnoxious and just being flat out mean to Black people who just would be minding their own business. And they get hatred for no fucking reason. But because of this COVID-19 outbreak, it has been mainly Asians, Chinese, Japanese, and Black people that have been getting a lot of racism. The only reason why the Asian community is getting so much backlash, especially the ones that are Asian, Japanese, American citizens, are getting so much hate because, you know, you have all these white supremacists and all these racist fucks in America, especially down south in Alabama and Georgia and Florida and, you know, in Carolina even. You have so many people blaming the Asians for this outbreak. I get that it started in China, but that's no need to be racist to the Asians that live here in America. Even if they're Japanese American, there's no need to be that way. There's so many problems in the U.S. as it stands, and I hate to be living. I hate to be living in the society that we've built, the racism society that we built. It ultimately frustrates me to see innocent people getting killed for no reason. You know, there was perfect example, even though it's not a racist example or anything, a prime example of people getting killed for no reason would be the Route 91 festival here in Vegas. I live in Vegas, and that hit close to home for me. It hit close to home for a lot of my friends at school, a lot of people that my mom worked with, because we all live in Vegas, and we all live in this big community. And I'm going to have to scroll up on your comments there, buddy. And that's, to me, that frustrates me the most. When you have people like me, like I saw a video earlier today of Panic at the Disco's lead singer, Brendan Urie. he created a live stream, and somebody brought up the topic of George Floyd and like tried to be all racist about the whole situation, saying that he deserved it when he didn't. Brendan Urie literally went off in his live stream, and it is extremely rare to see someone of Urie's caliber to get extremely upset about that. But that just goes to show you that it's not only black people that can stand up together and say Black Lives Matter. It's us white people. It's us Mexicans. It's us Asian people. We all are together. Unless you're a racist fuck like Donald Trump, then we all stand together at this point. And if you try to say that, where us, especially white people, aren't for this, then you are part of the problem. You say that white people can't stand up to black people. You're part of the fucking problem. You are legit part of the problem, and why we have so much hate in this world, many problems in this world. It frustrates me so much. And I know this was supposed to be a Q&A live stream, but I started off talking about the George Floyd situation and how I stand about it. And I'm probably not going to get to a live Q&A session, even though that was my plan. But this frustrates me so much. There are times where I remember at school, I think it was last year, and correct me if I'm wrong, Foster, Lead Middle School, one of the many middle schools in Vegas, and a lot of schools around the world did a stand out against gun violence or that. And the only reason why that became a thing was because a lot of Vegas people kind of participated in it because of Route 91 that happened a few years ago. And it still hits us hard when someone mentions it. And for us, October 1, to some people, they think it's a holiday for us, but it's really a time where we all get together and just kind of comfort each other, because so many people were killed in that event for no reason. And the few things that pissed me off from that is that the shooter hated country music when he's hold up. Yes, I have. It's on the table. I will be taking a bit of a break. I will be back in a good probably 10-15 minutes, depending on how long it takes. But this conversation is far from over. Once I get back, I will be finishing the conversation, and then we can go in and do a Q&A. The questions, there's really no filter on the questions for the Q&A, but you can ask me about the channel. You can ask me about personal question. Well, can't get too personal, but just kind of like my stance on certain things and stuff coming up to the channel and whatnot. But once I get back from this short break, I will be still talking about the whole police brutality, racism, and George Floyd situation, as I'm not happy with it. It frustrates me all to hell. But we'll finish it when I get back. Don't go anywhere for those of you who are watching it. I promise to be as quick as I can. So just Just stay on here. I'll be back in a few minutes. I just got to go do something real quick. I'll be as quick as I can possibly humanly can. But once I get back to main focus of discussion is obviously George Floyd and the whole situation that has happened, and just how I personally stand on situations like this. And then once we're done with that, you can ask me all the questions you want for the next probably half hour or so. But in the meantime, listen to some music that I've got in the back there. But I will be back on in a few minutes. I'm not turning off the live stream or anything. Both Instagram and YouTube will be fine. They'll still be up. So yeah, just don't go anywhere. I'll be back in a couple of minutes. Sorry to keep you guys waiting, but I have to agree with this comment that I read on Instagram and the other version of the live stream. There's no excuse for racism, but people simply find it necessary, and frankly, I find it very disturbing, and I agree with you that I hate living here simply because of how poorly we treat people. Not us. I mean, white supremacist, racist people in general. And it's upsetting, and I know so many people feel the same as well. I'm not the only one. And I know I'm not the only one because there's so many people who feel the same way, who share the same common intrigue that the majority of us feel. And with the situation that happened with George Floyd, it's upsetting. It frustrates me as all hell to see innocent lives getting taken away because you feel like you're threatened by someone who's just minding their own business. So that's the one thing that frustrates me the most. Here's another one. Also, people need to realize that the bungalow movement isn't a white supremacy movement. But we want BLM support, but they won't listen because our community is mainly white, even though we want to help. It's what we've all been saying for so long. It's unfortunate, we have so many people that don't really care for anybody, and it irritates me. It irritates me to see that, this is a bigger problem than it should be. It shouldn't even be a problem. What happens to guilty until proven innocent, or innocent until proven guilty? Now, with today's cops, it's all shoot first, ask questions later. It's especially true with the black community. They shoot first, then ask questions later, and then when they do get charged with murder, they get off scot-free because, it's a white officer shooting a black person. And that's the one thing that frustrates me the fucking most, is when people, especially white officers, get away without a single charge or anything thrown at them because they shot an innocent black man. That is murder. And if this officer who literally suffocated George Floyd gets away without any charges, we will fucking riot more than we are now. We will take to the streets and show our frustration to this officer who killed an innocent black man minding his own business. He probably didn't even know, kind of a claim at this point, or a statement, on my opinion, that George Floyd didn't know that the $10 bill was counterfeit. My mom paid someone with a counterfeit bill. She didn't know. The person that received it didn't know. Yeah, we didn't get charged. She didn't get killed. We didn't get the cops called on us. That is probably the best thing I've heard. The officers who killed George Floyd, they were suspended and fired, and now there's an FBI investigation going on to really dive deep into what the hell was going on with all these murders going on, especially in the black community. That should have been done when the first innocent black person was killed. but it wasn't. It had to take a riot as much as this one to finally get people to open their eyes and actually start investigating things like these. And that's the thing that frustrates me the most. You have to have what is going on with our government that and our FBI and our special forces, that a riot has to happen for these guys to say, shit, we should probably investigate this. That should be your first fucking thing. If you have an officer, especially a white officer, killing an innocent black man for using a counterfeit bill, you should investigate it right off the bat. Not wait till a fucking riot happens to start investigating. Yeah, it has to take an army. It can't be one person voicing their opinion. It has to take an entire army to basically wake these people up, to start investigation, to start searching for answers. There has been so many voices that have been shared about this, so many riots that have happened, but none to this caliber. It has to take something to this caliber, this sized riot that is going on in Minnesota or Maryland, wherever this accident happened, to get these officers and the FBI to investigate. What the fuck is wrong with you guys? Like, come on. You have an innocent guy getting suffocated to death by your people who are sworn to protect us. We have soldiers who are out here fighting for us. And what are they fighting for? Racism, police brutality. They're not fighting for freedom. We don't live in a state of freedom anymore. We are living in a state of fear and media. The media tells us what we should do. We live in a state of panic and fear. We don't live off of freedom anymore. Jesus. We were just finishing up the conversation of George Floyd. Now on, and that's exactly it. You know, we are a bunch of mind-controlled freaks at this point. We're no longer based off of freedom anymore. We're based off of fear and what the media tells us. And that's just the sad thing that we have come to. We let fear and the media and the government tell us what we can and can't do. Now, I get what we have, like laws and that, but when you have officers going in, breaking these laws and killing innocent people, then at this rate, why even have them? They're sworn to protect us and they're sworn to force the law on us. But they think they're above the law and get to break the law and kill innocent people and break the law every day and that. And it's just, why? What's the point of having them if they're going to get broken by the people who are supposed to enforce the law? As much as I want to continue ranting about this, and I'll probably do a video discussing more on this topic and discussing more on what is actually going on, I want to go and start the Q&A session. In fact, I will do a video talking more about this topic. But for right now, I want to get into the Q&A session. And the thing that I don't get, I saw not really a meme, but a post on Instagram that I think pretty much sums up everything. You have lawyers that go in to do school for about 4 years at law school to learn the ways of the law, to practice law, and basically know between right and wrong. But you have police officers that do 2 weeks of training and they're supposed to, and they just get handed a gun and handed off to the streets to protect us. Yet they don't get taught the law. That's why we have so many problems, I think, is because the police training doesn't teach the officers the law. They just give them basic training, self-defense, and then just hand them a gun and go. You're set. And that's why I feel a lot of these officers continue to break the law. Because they haven't been taught. They haven't been trained to know the ways of the law. They're just trained to shoot. It's basically what it is at this point. They're basically trained to pull over people, shoot people, burst into people's houses, and it's frustrating. It is what it is. But enough of that. Another video will get made that will go on discussing more about this topic. Let's get in and start doing some Q&As. You can ask me anything. You can ask me updates of like stuff for the channel, things that are coming soon onto the channel. Like somewhat personal questions. I will, if I do see like a question that hits a very personal spot to me, I'm not going to answer it. But if it's a slightly personal question, I will. And you can just ask me just questions about how I view other things and, just whatnot. So feel free and, spam me with questions. So yeah. I just cleaned my room, so I can't remember if I've done any earlier videos in this room with the old setup in my room, but if I have, it's a brand new look behind me. Before I had this thing up along that wall, and it was a calamity behind me. But it is cleaned, rearranged. Things have changed a bit in this room. I hung up a new thing. You probably can't see it, but in fact, you actually can't because it's hidden behind this symbol on my electric kit. Thought it was going to be in a better place, but I guess not. It probably should have been right in that spot there. But it was. If video games cause kids to be more violent, then why is it so easy to beat them? That is actually a good one. If video games cause kids to be more violent, then why is it so easy to beat them? To me, I don't think video games cause kids to be violent. I think it's just a lot of these angry Karens that say, oh, GTA is so violent, it teaches kids to be thugs in that one. Really, it doesn't. If it's, it is what it is. How long have you been playing the drums and guitar? I just got that guitar a couple of years ago, but I haven't really done much. I mainly focus on drums and percussion. This upcoming year, actually, I want to say would be my 6th year doing drums and percussion. So yeah, I've had that guitar for probably 2-3 years, but never really put any time and effort into playing it. I did for like a couple days trying to figure out like Enter Sandman and Crazy Train, but I haven't. It's kind of gone to shit. I don't really play it anymore, so it just kind of sits there. I do pick it up every now and then and just kind of freely strum, even though I don't know my chords and that I only learned how to tune it like a couple years ago. So yeah, it's a process. It's just I have a lot of other things going on right now. That just takes too much time to get on the guitar and actually sit and learn, especially during the school year with a lot of schoolwork getting done, marching bands taking up pretty much half of my first semester, half of my school year basically, and just concerts for band and a lot of stuff. It's just I'm never really able to do stuff. Yeah. So far I've only gotten 2 questions. Am I not interesting? Am I not? Is that it? Am I not interesting enough to get questions? Am I a loser? No, I'm playing. But yeah. Danny Patterson on YouTube just commented challenge. Still watching? I want to know how you would finish that one. Gummies or chocolate? Ooh. I'm a big chocolate guy. I love chocolate, especially M&Ms, Twix, Kit Kats, Three Musketeers. That's my main go-to chocolates. I also like to get the Kinder Buenos, which is a German thing, I believe, that is now starting to get sent around here as well. But I do, some of my ones that you probably haven't had are the chocolate covered gummy bears and gummy worms and the orange chocolate covered sticks. That's my ultimate favorite if it was gummy chocolates. What is your favorite color? My favorite colors are red and black, as you can see on the bracelet or spikes. That's my go-to favorite colors. Another one is Shark's teal, which I know is kind of sacred. Living in Vegas. The only thing I have Vegas Golden Knights related is that poster right there, the inaugural season poster. It has Sharks on it. It was a preseason game, but the only reason why I have that is because of the date. It was Sunday, October 1st, 2017, which is the day of the 1 October shooting, and that's the only reason why I have it up there, because of that. I'm not a Golden Knights fan by any means. I can't fucking stand them. I also can't stand the St. Louis Blues, the Boston Bruins, and the LA Kings. I cannot stand those teams. But the only reason why I have that Vegas Golden Knight poster is because of 1 October, and just because my parents were so close to actually experiencing it live rather than through the news and through updates of a friend of ours. So that's why it's up there. Those are so good. I know the gummies and that are good. The chocolate covered gummies are good. But my main chocolates are Kit Kats, Three Musketeers, Twix, and M&Ms. Probably gonna have a couple more minutes, and then I'm probably gonna end the live stream and create another one. Because if I just left and just told you guys to wait, it would be way too long, because dinner is getting made, so I've got probably another couple more minutes of answering questions, and then I'll create another live stream, and it'll just be strictly Q&A. It'll also be on Instagram as well. For those of you who are watching on Instagram, stay tuned. For those of you who are on my YouTube channel, stay tuned as well. We'll be talking. I'll be answering more of your guys' questions later on after dinner. But if you have any other questions that you want to get out the way now, please do so before I end it. So we can, just have a good old time answering questions before I eat, because goddamn, I'm fucking starving. How big of a gamer are you? I guess you could say I've got about half of a tall ass DVD bookshelf filled with video games. I also actually can do some voice impressions of characters from Overwatch, especially Junkrat and Reaper and some others. I follow a lot of video games on Instagram and that. So, yeah. So, that's what it is. So I will be back, as I'm running out of time on live stream on Instagram. So I will be back in a few more minutes. So thank you guys for tuning in, for listening to me rant about some stuff and asking questions. There will be more coming up. Another live stream and Q&A will be coming up in the next couple of minutes. Thank you guys so much for watching. See ya. And what are days off?